Oh, no, yeah, that's exactly it. You can put your can behind the cup if you like.
Do you want me to stick it in there?
No, that's Matt's mug. Just left it there for the sake of it. I have no issues against not branding or showing off branding things. I mean, no one's watching the channel. It's not getting monetized, so it doesn't really matter.
16.
Just don't spill it anywhere. So welcome to the show. This is episode... I don't know what episode it is.
No.
This is episode 17. Well, I mean, I don't know. Because I'm making some at the minute with old female friend of mine from... Well, to be honest, didn't even like me very much when we knew each other. Somehow, seems to enjoy watching the stuff, and we just realised we're actually all right friends. So, and she came in and we had a really good chat. Made a good episode. You wouldn't have recognised she was sort of in around town long before I'm aware of you having been in and around town.
They're still in town, and I'm thinking, when are they going to get out?
Is he still in town?
Yeah.
I thought because he
No, he's not. Sorry.
I thought because he gave up drinking and stuff.
He did. He doesn't drink anymore.
I don't drink anymore, do I?
Do you not? Bloody hell.
I mean, I don't think I was proclaimed alcoholic. I'm glad he's better now. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't give a fuck. I'll just edit it out anyway.
Maidstone has been toxic for years. It's got this very toxic culture of we all look like this, we all wear this.
It's the same everywhere though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think toxic... Or, do you know what? Me and my other half had a really interesting chat about it once, and she actually brought this up, where post-COVID, everyone seems more entitled.
I survived COVID. I deserve everything.
Well, we had a miserable time. It was this, so I'm just going to do this.
I loved COVID. Lockdown was my favourite time. I could walk out in the street when I had to go and do stuff, or go for my daily walk, and there were no wankers around. There was no one. It was just nice and quiet and peaceful. And there weren't any, because I lived in the town centre above one of the bars.
Yep.
In the daytime, before COVID and then after COVID, you'd regularly get people wandering through the town, screaming and shouting, doing stuff, drunk people singing outside your window, whatever. Just wankers walking up and down the street, being all wankery. And now, as in we're back in COVID time, during lockdown, it was just quiet and peaceful. Going to Wickes or to the supermarket was like a day out for me. Yeah. It was fun. Because I like to do DIY, and I was allowed to go to Wickes, because Wickes was still open.
Yep.
Because it's a, whatever they fucking called it, essential
store, yeah. An
essential store. That was DIY stores, and they were fun to get. They're like my toy shop anyway.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And the supermarket, I like going there. That was fun as well. And I got there early before, at the front of the queue.
Yeah.
I was just waiting. I mean, I did remember thinking this 2 meter thing's silly because you're stood there, someone else is stood there, and they're breathing. And when you walk forward, you just walk into their germs anyway. Yeah. So, I mean, what's the point? I just like lockdown, and I wish we could have another one.
Do you know what? I think for the first kind of week, 2 weeks, no noise. You couldn't hear the motorway. All I could hear was birds. There was a piece about the 20 mile an hour zones, and I've got a screenshot of it that literally says he did that because he wants to decrease the amount of cars on the road in London. Do you know what? I think they are relevant at times. There are places where 20 mile an hour zones...
Yeah, of course they are. Outside schools.
Outside schools, outside hospitals, busy high streets. You do not need to do any more than 20 through them.
The whole thing about speed limit the singular thing about the speed limit is, when they first invented speed limits, it's because originally they were like, let's just drive on the road in these cars we've just invented. Yeah. And they drove, and everybody got along fine, until somebody ran over somebody. And they went, okay, we should probably say that you can't run over people. So they're fine. And then they started not running over people. They got a little bit faster. They were going more than 4 miles per hour. And they started to overtake each other. So when they overtook someone, he had an accident. They said, right, well, there's obviously got to be some limit restriction to this. No overtaking or reduce this. That's when I think that's how the speed... We'll look it up. I think it was... But then, obviously, the speed limit is fine until someone is a dickhead and ruins it for the rest of us.
Yeah.
So now, because people don't have the common sense to drive slowly past a school, so not even a school, when I see cats, children, anything,
horses,
whatever, on the side of the road, I slow down, and if possible, pull out further from the side. Because if that kid just decides to go, toy, you fucking killed a child.
It's about watching what you're doing when you're driving, and people don't pay enough attention to what they're doing.
Yeah,
the time I think where they are mad, and I actually went to Wales with my other half just after they'd input. We were driving along a road that you'd imagine would be a 40. And then you've got bicycles going faster on the outside.
Yeah.
I mean, they have no speed limit anyway. Horses on their own, horse-drawn carriages might be different, but horses, bikes, no, doesn't apply. Which...
I will double check and verify, but interesting.
Yeah, I found it quite interesting.
A car moving at 30 miles an hour is a lot more of a danger than a bicycle because it's the weight, so it's not got the same momentum. You can't do the same amount of damage. I mean, it can annoy you.
I think a lot of the 20s in central London make perfect sense because there's loads of people everywhere all the time. But when you come to the South Circular, parts of that are now 20 mile an hour that don't need to be.
I mean, I get annoyed when it's 50 mile an hour in certain places.
Oh, God, it's not even that. The A20 leaving London is 40 all the way out.
So the thing that annoys me mostly about the ULEZ is that ULEZ and CC was brought in to reduce emissions in the centre of London initially because there's so many vehicles there. This is the idea. So many vehicles that is making it difficult, damaging to people's health.
Yeah.
But people need to go to the centre of London. Very few people don't go to the centre of London now because of this reason. They just pay and then they carry on driving.
Yeah,
There's still as many vehicles in these areas, almost. Yeah. I imagine maybe... What we're going to guess, did it drop by 10%?
Do you know what? It does have an impact on the amount of cars that go. But the thing is, when you're driving... Now, say you've got a diesel, you've got a DPF, right?
Yeah.
If you've got a petrol car, you've got a catalytic converter.
Yeah.
At 20 mile an hour, your cat isn't getting hot enough.
No.
It's not actually working.
I mean, that's assuming if you drive at 20 the whole way.
Yeah, so say you never got above 20 and you were just driving around the centre of London within ULEZ, your car's apparently compliant, you can drive round, you're doing... Well, actually, your car's doing 20 mile an hour. It's not meant to do 20.
No.
It's not meant to...
It needs to blow out the cobwebs.
It needs to blow out the cobwebs. You need to be able to put your foot down, do everything else. So actually...
I think there is a... I mean, if they did 20 a bit and then they went out...
Yeah, and went out and came back in and you heated up your plugs and everything else, yeah, you'd be all right. But if you're just driving to and from the shops in the centre of London and that's all you do with your car...
So this is where the electric vehicles then have their place.
Yeah, EVs in London, I do think have a place. However, the problem I have with EVs is the idea that they're going to solve the problem of carbon emissions.
I watch a lot of stuff. And one of the doctor people that makes YouTube videos about how to live well and long and this, that and the other, singular statement, this is in a short, so it's like less than 45 seconds long. Regenerative farming has the benefits of not only looking after the land, will counteract our carbon footprint more than electrifying the entire transportation system.
Yeah, because to do it, it's mad that we're talking about trying to get everybody to have an EV when we're charging that off our grid. Our grid doesn't have that capacity.
No.
Our grid will not have that capacity, and nobody's kind of said, right, but we don't have the capacity for all of that.
I think they're trying to work on the grid.
They are trying to work on the grid, but if they wanted to work on the grid, they needed to do it 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago to be up to standards.
That's why they've said it's in 10 or 15 years that we
But by 10 or 15 years, I mean, within Formula One, Mercedes and all the other companies, or not Mercedes, but the fuel companies that back the Formula One teams, they've been coming out with carbon neutral fuels. Sebastian Vettel drove, I think it was the FW14B, which was Nigel Mansell's car at Silverstone, on completely carbon neutral fuel.
Okay.
Rowan Atkinson did a piece on it. He drove a car at Goodwood on carbon neutral fuel.
Interesting.
Ross Brawn, who ran Brawn and worked for Ferrari prior to that, and then I think became the head of F1. He's got a big thing going on with it as well. And the fact is that they want to be able to use carbon neutral fuels in places where the electric grid system is never going to be good enough. So Africa, India.
Yep.
You could run it in Europe. Like I could run my Fiesta on it. I wouldn't even have to do anything to the engine. Not change anything. Carbon neutral fuel and done. Turn on, run.
Do you know what they mean by a carbon neutral? I mean, I know what you mean by a carbon neutral fuel, but what specifically makes it carbon neutral? Just, I guess, the way it burns?
It's the way it burns. I'd have to properly look. So I don't know.
But is it cooking oil?
No. I don't know. So it's going to be
bioethanol.
No, it's a synthetic fuel. From what I know so far, I haven't seen the chemical structure of it, so I don't know exactly how it's going to combust yet.
Okay, but so the question is, when I now realise sort of what I'm asking here is, what makes it carbon neutral? Is it the way that it combusts, so either its production or its emissions that comes out the other end?
It's going to be the emissions where it doesn't produce anything more than it takes in, as in, so
it doesn't emit a toxic air.
It won't emit
fume.
Could you breathe carbon monoxide and other things.
Could you breathe it?
You probably wouldn't want to.
Could you chug on it? Could you rip a bong?
Could you rip
carbon
a bong on
neutral
carbon neutral fuels?
Yeah, and not feel the effects.
And not feel the effects like you could off petrol. I
Not
don't know what
die.
they're basing off it. I mean, we all know bioethanol and E10 is awful. Like, it depends where. Do you
I
know
don't know what's bad about bioethanol. I thought that it was. I mean, I've only really thought about bioethanol as in terms of lighter, like a fuel for a fireplace type of thing.
Do you know what? When they put it into... So, I got told I ran a little bit of E10 in my Fiesta. And I had a fuel pump problem.
Right.
So, I had to clean the lines.
Wait,
everything.
E10's the newer petrol.
E10's the newer
It's
petrol.
in all the petrol stations.
Yeah, so it's...
Is it a lower RON fuel?
It's a lower RON fuel, so it's... No, it's still meant to be 95 octane.
Because I was going to say, like, isn't our fuel slightly higher octane than American fuel?
Yes, so
And
Americans
we
are
went to
like
America, we'd fuck our cars up.
85, 90. Oh, God, yeah, we could not run our cars on American fuel. It's crap.
And if they came here, they'd be like...
Oh, they'd be like, oh, my God, what's this? Like, I run mine on 99 octane.
So the American thing's making my brain go somewhere else. So let's finish off this bioethanol or E10
But
comment you had.
E10 causes, if your car's older than, let's say, 2016, realistically...
Mine is, yes. But
You
mine's
really
diesel.
shouldn't be putting E10 in your car because it will knacker your fuel lines, it will damage your valves, it will damage your injectors, could damage your cap.
So, but E10 was brought in for...
E10 was brought in to, because in theory it promotes a cleaner burn. I think realistically it's because they know they can make more money by putting ethanol in. They can make a hell of a lot more money on the fuel. Keep it the same price. Because if it's 10% ethanol, right?
Yeah.
And we're paying the same price as we were
So
a
is
year
that
and a
what
half
E10
ago.
is? 10%?
E10 is 10% ethanol.
Okay. So I don't know this stuff. I mean, I knew about it, but I don't really know the composition of it.
E5, which is SO's and Shell's 99 octane, that will all be E5.
Yeah.
Actually, up until September, all of SO's E5, or the majority of it in the country, pre-September was still pure petrol.
Okay.
So now you can no longer actually buy petrol at a petrol station.
You've got 5% ethanol.
Yep, 5% ethanol.
Interesting. I didn't know that at all.
Are you a cock? Are you an absolute, pardon my French, but are you genuinely a cock? Because if you've got 3G and you're going, oh, look at my garden, looks amazing.
What do you mean 3G in your garden?
3G.
Not signal?
No, the grass. The
Oh, I see.
fake grass.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You wouldn't want to completely change it from heathland. You wouldn't want to because there are species that have grown to adapt in those conditions.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure most people have 3G and probably 4G.
Yeah, or 5G.
No, they don't have 5G.
Do we not have 5G? Oh, I thought we had 5G yet.
We'll talk about it later.